A recent ceasefire brought a pause to the violence between Israel and Hamas, offering a glimmer of hope in a region long plagued by conflict and unrest. This fragile peace agreement included the release of Palestinian prisoners, a gesture meant to build trust and ease tensions. However, Israel has postponed the release of over 600 prisoners, citing security concerns and internal political pressures. This decision has fueled tensions and jeopardized the already fragile ceasefire, leading to protests and heightened security measures. The situation highlights the deep mistrust between the two sides, a mistrust that has been built over decades of conflict and failed peace efforts. It also underscores the complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, where every action is scrutinized and can have far-reaching consequences. The international community expressed concern over the delay, urging both sides to adhere to the terms of the ceasefire. Many fear it could lead to renewed violence, undoing the progress made and plunging the region back into chaos. The prisoners' release was seen as a key confidence-building measure, a step towards reconciliation and peace. Its postponement casts a shadow over the prospects for a lasting peace, raising doubts about the commitment of both sides to the peace process. The international community urged both sides to show restraint and return to the negotiating table, emphasizing that dialogue and compromise are the only paths to a sustainable peace. Israel claims security concerns are behind its decision to delay the release of certain individuals. The government has emphasized that the safety of its citizens is paramount. They cite the need to meticulously review the cases of those slated for release, ensuring that no potential threats slip through the cracks. Officials argue that some individuals pose a direct and immediate threat to Israeli citizens, and releasing them without thorough vetting could have dire consequences. The postponement, they say, is a necessary measure to protect their people and maintain national security. Additionally, Israel expressed outrage over Hamas's celebrations during the recent release of 6 Israeli hostages, which they found provocative and insensitive. The timing of the postponement, however, has raised eyebrows among observers and critics alike. It came shortly after Hamas's celebratory rallies, which were marked by fireworks and public displays of joy. These rallies marked the return of their fighters, further complicating the already tense situation. Critics argue that the delay is a political maneuver designed to serve the interests of the current administration. They believe it is a way for the Israeli government to appease its right-wing base, which has been vocal in its opposition to any concessions to Hamas. This base has been critical of any concessions to Hamas, viewing them as a sign of weakness and a threat to national security. Hamas condemned Israel's decision, calling it an outright provocation. They called it a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement, which had been painstakingly negotiated over several months. In protest, they have frozen all negotiations with Israel, effectively halting any progress towards peace. This includes talks related to the release of remaining hostages, a critical issue for both sides. The group warns of severe consequences if Israel does not honor its commitments, hinting at potential escalations. They claim that Israel's actions demonstrate a lack of seriousness about achieving peace, undermining trust built over time. The postponement has fueled anger among Palestinians who feel their hopes for peace are being dashed. Many view it as a betrayal of trust, deepening the divide between the two sides. This sentiment could potentially escalate into renewed violence as frustrations boil over. There are fears of a return to rocket attacks and military confrontations which could destabilize the region further. The situation highlights the volatility of the region and the urgent need for a diplomatic solution as the world watches closely. The Gaza Strip has endured years of conflict and suffering. The territory is densely populated and faces severe economic hardship. The recent escalation of violence only exacerbated these problems, resulting in widespread destruction and loss of life. The ceasefire was meant to offer a reprieve from the violence. It was seen as a chance to rebuild and find a path towards peace. The postponement of the prisoner release jeopardizes these efforts. It deepens the sense of despair among Palestinians and raises questions about the viability of a negotiated settlement. The international community must work to salvage the ceasefire and address the underlying issues that fuel the conflict. The recent conflict in Gaza resulted in a dire humanitarian crisis. Thousands of Palestinians were killed and many more were injured. The fighting displaced hundreds of thousands from their homes, the healthcare system is overwhelmed, and there is a shortage of essential supplies. The international community must provide immediate assistance, including medical aid, food, and shelter. The long-term consequences of the conflict will be felt for years to come. Reconstruction efforts will be costly and challenging, and the international community must support these efforts. They must also work to address the root causes of the conflict. Only then can lasting peace be achieved.